Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Karma Cards. So this week's messages from the team still revolve around healing. They're really emphasizing that this is a healing cycle we are in. And they actually have been really trying to hint at we need to understand that some of the ways we approach healing don't work and cause us to feel more drained or less empowered or create another healing cycle. So it's almost like these cycles of healing where we really were meant to get out of it, but we kind of got sucked back into healing. So I want to talk about the sacred masculine approach and the divine feminine approach, because what we're being called to here when it comes to healing is really to allow more of the divine feminine approach, which for some of us can feel really hands off. In fact, it might not feel like it's enough. And so we need to understand how these two processes work and the benefits and also the drawbacks, right? So when we're looking at these two energies, let's think of it as Mars and Venus's approach to healing, okay? So in a Mars approach to healing, which is what the team is saying right now, is a lot of people, they're aware that they're healing, they're aware that healing needs to happen, and they're sort of taking this sacred masculine Mars approach. So it's very hands-on, active, oriented approach. Like, let's get in there, let's heal this stuff, and let's get out of it. I want it to happen now. I'm going to heal, right? And I'm going to force myself into this healing process. I'm going to face all my demons. I'm going to work with my shadow side. I'm going to do. This is that Mars approach to healing. It's almost combative at some points in its energy. Now, the beauty of this approach is it shows proactivity on our part. It shows that we are going after it and that we are aware of it and we want it. So we have direction. It gives us a sense of the direction that we're moving in, and it gives us a goal-oriented approach. And it gets us going, which is beautiful. The problem with staying in this type of energy is that we easily feel worn out, exhausted, overworked, and we can end up feeling like there's more to heal, sucking us back into this thing of, it wears us out, and we feel truly like exhausted to the bone from doing the work. And then that low point, that exhaustion point, calls back up the energy of you need to heal, and then the process of almost bulldozing ourselves to do it starts all over again. So the masculine energy approach, that Mars approach, can really help us get direction, get goal oriented, and get started. But it's not what's going to complete that healing cycle for us. And again, if left in that same state, we just kind of end up in this vicious cycle of healing. In fact, I was talking to some friends recently, and that we were noticing this with, I notice it sometimes with clients, I notice it with just talking to my friends and myself, is that we can end up thinking that something that actually has been healed isn't healed, because we're just in that mindset of like, well, I put all this effort out into it, it feels hard, I feel like I'm collapsing and falling apart, so I guess it's not healed. And around we go. And so we're actually holding on to stuff that has healed if we would allow it to. But because we hold on to it, we keep calling it back into our life and into our experience. So the first awareness that the team is asking from us right now is like, just pay attention. Is this true for you? Do you continually feel like you haven't got something that maybe you did, right? Maybe you did get it. How would you know if you got through this? Well, you can look at how you react to similar situations that originally caused that wound, and you can just acknowledge your growth. And that's something that, a lot of people who are doing self-work, I think that, at least in my own personal experience, it's easy to accept and jump on the stuff that needs healing, but it's sometimes even harder to accept the stuff that you did. Like, you're just not seeing your growth. And if that's happening, it's just because you haven't stepped back yet. So here's a really quick exercise to help you see your growth, right? I want you to imagine that you're sitting down having coffee with a former version of yourself. Make it 5 years ago, a 5 years ago version of yourself. So you'd have to think about someone, you in 2016, right? Sit down with them. And then I want you to imagine that you're telling the story of your life, where you're at, what you've worked through, what you've accomplished, the things that you understood and learned. And as you're imagining this conversation, visualize their reaction. It is so beautiful to do that work because you really get to see like that part of you that was prominent in 2016 will acknowledge and notice who you are, the choices you've made. They'll have feedback for you. It's such a beautiful process. And that can help you know where healing has happened. It can help you acknowledge it if it's hard to acknowledge in this moment. So going back to it, the Mars approach, very direct, but the trap is to get sucked in to the cycle of I have to keep doing it, I have to keep doing it. So let's look at the Venus approach to healing. The Venus approach to healing is a much gentler energy. And it's instead of a directed doing energy, it's a holding pattern. It's a holding place, and it has this beautiful ability to dissolve and transmute simply through holding, simply through allowing what is to be, and then allowing it to just transmute, to dissolve. Right now, the problem with just being in this space is like, no, you don't really have a sense of direction because it's all encompassing. It is you, and you are surrounded by it. So it can be very hard to know if you're in it or out of it. It can be because you can't find the edges, right? It's a very nebulous, more open and expansive state to be in. And it doesn't really give you a direction. So on its own, it doesn't help you know where you're going because it is all inclusive. It holds it all. However, the benefit of the Venus approach to healing is this ability to hold and accept it all and allow that which it no longer aligns to you to simply dissolve and transmute. So as you can see, the true energetic way to heal is to, have that driven masculine energy guiding you, giving you a direction to point in, a start point, and a goal to move towards, and then being able to move into the space of allowing, dissolving, and transformation. And together you'll have the awareness of where you're going and the energy to allow it to happen rather than forcing it to happen. Because the messages that are coming through right now, they're predominantly about understanding how you're giving your energy away. So that's one approach, is your approach to your healing right now a very, like this has got to happen now approach. And also, are you taking on too much? So this is something that, again, they keep bringing back around because so many people not only want to heal themselves, but they have such beautiful open hearts and they want to heal the world. And it's such a noble goal. I mean, the universe truly appreciates that energy from you, but they don't expect from you what you might be expecting from yourself. And that's the big difference here, is that, we have goals, but are we allowing ourselves the opportunity to reach and learn those goals? Or are we putting so much expectation on ourselves that we're literally breaking down? So the key words that are coming up are overgiving and overworked. Overgiving and overworked are the two energies that they want us to pay attention to, because both of these deplete us, and that was never the intention of you coming here and using this energy. We have to learn this balance. Again, it's another dichotomy and a balance point that you give energy out because that's going to raise up the frequency. It's going to heal. It's going to lift us up to new levels of consciousness. But you must also at the same time understand that nobody owes it to you to replenish your energy, right? So it's a really interesting combination, because here we are wanting to give others energy, and yet we're not owed any energy. It's our job to keep our own cup full, to make sure that that cup is full before we start giving things out. So again, this message keeps coming back of fill up your own cup, right? And if you find that you're overworked, there's something going on there. If you find that you're overworked by you, meaning that you have really high expectations of yourself and you're pushing yourself hard, then the message is to allow more and to let go. Like soften is the key word there. So if you're overworking yourself, soften, allow, let the energy of the universe work its magic and heal with you. All right, you're instigating, but it can help you if you allow that to happen. And to allow it to happen is to soften into it and let go of the expectations on yourself and just be where you are, trusting that that cycle, that it's going to come to an end. It's going to resolve, okay? And then if you're feeling overworked by the external world, and that makes sense too, because we're all going through this mass healing, mass shifting process, and yet we still have to live our life. We still have to go to work. We still have to take care of others. It doesn't stop. Take care of our home. Take care of ourselves. That just doesn't stop. So it's easy to fall into this place of feeling overworked. And if you're in a situation where you can't let go, like you can't just take the time out and stop everything and cocoon in nature for a while, which is, that would be fantastic. But the reality is you might not be able to do that. So one of the ways that you can address the overwork from the external world situation is look at how you see that energy. Reframe what you're seeing when you are dealing with the outside world. For example, if you have to go to a job and your vision of that job is, this is sucking my soul out of me. Well, then you're helping to create this soul sucker energy, right? You've conjured that energy forth, and now it's starting to do its work. So one of the ways that you can reframe this energy and start to experience healing from it, especially if it's something, like I said, like a job you need a break from, but you can't for some reason right now, take that break. A great way to reframe this energy is to see how what you're doing is an act of service for others. So again, it's what that does is it kicks back into our instinctual spiritual drive to be of service to others. If we can connect the dots that we're already doing it, then we stop overworking ourselves, right? You showing up to the job that you feel like you have to do, especially if that job exists for the external world, that is a service to others. Somebody needs to do it, and you agreed to do that. So you're holding this beautiful space, and all it takes is a little mental shift in awareness that yes, I am being of service to others. I am here and holding this space. Well, that's going to reframe your energy, and that outside external source will no longer suck your energy from you, but it can revive you, because reconnecting to that deep spiritual purpose and that meaning that service to others gives to us can boost you back up. It's like a energetic immune boost, right? So it is partially how we are looking at the things in our life that we are committed to for whatever reason, committed to others, committed to work. It doesn't matter the reason you feel committed, but you can start to see that just by showing up instead of a have to thing, that it is actually you recognizing that you are doing something deeply important that normally you might see as mundane. So I hope that this helps you to remember Hopes that it helps you to remember not to push so hard, that you can appreciate that energy push that you get from your masculine side saying we need to do this and this is where we're going. Appreciate that. You can allow your feminine side to hold it and do a lot of that dissolving work for you by simply allowing it to be there. You can stop pushing yourself so hard. Take the expectations off yourself that you have to do it a certain way and allow it to happen in a more organic way. And then you can diffuse the draining energy of the external world by just reframing how you're looking at those external sources. So I hope those tips help you this week. And now I'd like to do some karma cards with you. So for those who are new to karma cards, let me show you quickly how we play. I have 3 decks here. The planets, the signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team in spirit, what is the message you have for us this week? And there are 2 sets of answers. There was 1 set in red that are related to the masculine action. And then there is 1 set in blue related to the feminine in outcome. And all you do to play is just tune in intuitively to yourself. What do you need during this time period? And while you're thinking about that, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for today, April 15th through April 22nd. And the flavor of this reading is Uranus, the plot twist planet. And this planet is connected to Aquarius. It rules Aquarius. So this is the ruling energy of this big shift that we're going to as we get into this age of Aquarius. In the sign of Cancer, which represents our internal self, the divine. This is the card of the divine feminine and the moon and intuition. And then we have the 11th house, which represents our friends, the groups and associations that we belong to, our hopes and wishes, and our take on humanity. The 11th house is also ruled by Aquarius. So there's a lot of Aquarius in this reading. All right, so for those who are choosing red or both, your spiritual action at this time is to stir up the situation by using your feelings for humanity's sake. And I kind of feel like this ties back into the healing that we were talking about. Stir up the situation. So stirring up the situation in this case is like a stop. I'm bringing that, hold on, this isn't working yet. I have to adapt here. Stir up the situation by using your feelings. So that feeling of being overworked, exhausted, tired, this is too much, feeling the pressure, those types of feelings for humanity's sake. So it is really easy to fall into the trap of thinking that working on yourself is somehow neglecting the work in the outside world, when nothing could be further from the truth. The work you do on yourself has a direct impact on humanity. And if more people take the time to do that work, to reconnect to themselves, it will massively shift humanity in a positive way. My team often says to me, if you want to see unity in the outside world, unify what's going on in here, right? So this is about the acknowledgement of yourself, of all parts of yourself. When you can accept all parts of you, you've created a unified field, and that unified field radiates out and affects the external world. The mental action. Be open to new ideas about attitudes from the past, about your hopes and wishes. So again, the energy right now is just like last week was about recalibrating. This one is about we are revisiting our energy. We are looking at our personal values, our hopes and wishes, and we are being asked to reassess them, but not necessarily throw them out, but see them with new eyes. What in your life, what have you wanted or aligned to still works? What doesn't? With the stuff that doesn't, is there a way to see it in another way? Or is it just done? So again, it's not a right or wrong thing. It's about really connecting with ourselves and seeing where we are now, because we are a new version of ourselves. Just like when I mentioned before about talking to you from 5 years ago, you are a new version of yourself since then, which is why that former version is going to be so in awe and blown away by you and what you've done. So it's just that time to go in there, reassess, look at things. Is it a match? Am I looking at this in a way where I'm painting it in a certain light? Can I look at it from all angles, right? So it is a kind of deep mental exploration time. Physical action. I invent a way to use your intuition and do it for the future. Invent a way. That's, again, Uranus wants to be the visionary, wants to crack things open and look at it a little differently, to use your intuition and do it for the future. So how do you currently use your intuition? What is it that you are, what helps you know you're in an intuitive state? I've had many people talk to me recently about how there's a shift. They feel different inside their intuition. And I asked the team about that, and it's pretty natural. They said, you're moving up in frequency to higher levels of frequency. It changes your consciousness. It's a refinement. This higher frequencies are more refined, and they have a different bandwidth to them. And so you are going to feel your intuition differently in your body. Your intuition may open up in new areas. It may refine. It may drop some things that are from another vibration. And again, we're just being asked to get in touch with it and observe, right? We're not going to try and force ourselves into a certain pattern or behavior, but rather, again, bring our focus to it and then open it up. It's kind of like looking under the hood of your car. You need to do that from time to time. You need to check in, check the fuel levels, make sure there's nothing stuck in your engine, right? We're looking at things to see how they're working. And sometimes there are ways we can make our vehicles more efficient. Well, just in that same way, we can make our intuition more efficient, or we can allow the efficiency that's naturally coming through and drop some of our ideas about what intuition is for ourselves. So that's where we are in this energy of action. Now let's look at the outcomes for this time period of Uranus in Cancer in the 11th house. So for those who are choosing outcome or both, your spiritual outcome at this time is an unusual example of intuition to protect freedom. Wow. I mean, that is just so right on right now. So an unusual example means something that you're not used to seeing. Thank you, Uranus. That's, again, it's surprise, plot twist. It's like you didn't see this coming. An unusual example of your intuition. So again, by allowing yourself this, just by again, they really are focusing this week on a mental shift. The mental shift is the first part that's happening. So we're being asked right now to make mental shifts about what we think we know about pretty much any topic, what we think we know about healing, what we think we know about giving, what we think we know about receiving intuition. All of these are coming up for us to make this mental shift to protect an unusual example of intuition to protect freedom. So as you can see, this shift is coming up. It is connected to our personal freedoms, to our sovereignty. And by being in the flow of this energy, you're naturally going to see something you may not have taken into account before. The mental outcome at this time, a different way of looking at attitudes from the past about associations. So associations, this comes from the 11th house. Associations can mean groups, can mean friends, right? Organizations, all of those come together. So a different way of looking at attitudes from the past about association. So again, this is just one more line of thought about this mental shift that is occurring. So again, this particular outcome here feels a little bit more passive. We're just going to be reviewing things. An important note when we are reviewing things is to allow ourselves to be free from black and white thinking, all or nothing, right? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater is what they're saying, but do review it. Do challenge yourself to look at things, challenging yourself to look at things and opening things up, seeing them another way. That if you are able to accomplish that, what that's going to tell you is that you're opening your mind. Your mind is more open and flexible. And that is the direction that energy is heading in anyway. You have to open we have to open our minds up to see more. Literally allowing us to see more, because when we open our mind, we open our reticular activating system right at the back of our head. And this is your natural brain filter. It filters out information that doesn't match your current belief system. So by opening our mind and questioning things, we open this back up here, and then boom, we see things we didn't expect to see, or we finally get those subtle shifts that we've made that we just weren't noticing, because again, we're opening the minds. Physical outcome. An unexpected change resulting from the history of your circle of friends. An unexpected change resulting from the history of your circle of friends. And I think, again, everybody is shifting right now. So it's not unique to our individual experience. We're collectively shifting on the mental plane right now together. This can mean that where we were in sync with some people, we fall out of sync. But again, I'm hearing it's not all or nothing. Don't throw anything out just because certain vibrations don't match. It can be easy for us to kind of assign that to people too. Like the vibration doesn't match, so now this person doesn't match. And again, the objective here is to ask questions. Ask yourself, is that true? Do they not match me anymore? We're not vibrating in the same direction right now, so are we not a match anymore? And I have found from my own personal experience, this is not true, especially if you hold the core about these friends, about why you love them, about what brought you together. If you hold those core connections, you can ride through vibrational shifts together. Now, this might mean that you spend less time with each other, or your interests take you in different directions. But if you're holding that core energetic of what brought you to this other person, many times it allows you to ride these waves together, and then the relationship comes back stronger. So again, and it is case by case, right? What works in some relationships might not work in others, but we're being asked to, again, use that questioning, open-minded approach, looking at things and saying, is this just a turn in the path where my path goes straight and yours goes left? Or is this a forever, cannot be reconciled? And what I find is that there's actually more that can be reconciled that we can allow, again, when we open the mind and allow more information. All right, so those are the cards for this week. Let me know in the comments below if that's where you're at, if you're feeling this mental shift. I love hearing from you in your comments. Also, if you want to get in touch with me, if you'd like to do a reading or be part of the next Spirit Circle, check out my website, BlytheStarlight.com, and all the information on how we can connect is there. And until next time, stay magical. Lots of love. Mwah. Bye. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.